For our mission, Dear Human, Can I Actually Help You? Mission Chair Shakila Shayan spoke with students about the use of voice assistants. In this interview, the students look skeptical at those interfaces like Alexa, Siri, and Google Home.
Hi, I'm Excel. I'm a student in the Master Data-Driven Design at the Hogeschool Utrecht.
Hi, my name is Anna and I study the same course as Excel.
I'm Esther and I'm following the master program Data-Driven Design at HU.
Can you describe in one word how you feel about the current voice assistants in the market?
I think I'm kind of intentionally leaving it a little bit aside because I don't really see the potential for myself personally yet.
Okay, let's get to that. And you?
I kind of hesitate between incomplete and unnatural because of, I think they're been pushed too quickly. And right now they're, the way they interact with people is not completely right. And I think there is a lot of work to be done before they're really useful and nice to use.
And how is it not completely right the way they interact?
Well, right now you talk to them in commands, right? It's a one-way conversation and you get a response, but it doesn't feel like a natural conversation, and it's a very dominated conversation, right? You ask for the lights, you're being impolite to it, and it's not emotional or anything. It's just kind of fake person that just listen to your commands, and I think that's dangerous because we associate these human traits to it because it has a human voice and it has a human way of talking, but on the other side you interact with it as if it's a computer by pushing buttons and stuff like that, and I think that the combination of the both, it has to be better thought about because of those human aspects.
What is missing in this highly conversational digitized world in 5-10 years maybe?
I read this paper that was about exactly this, about where are we in 10 years, and they suspected that by 2030, so in 8 years, 55% of human technology interaction would be by voice. And I'm not sure how I feel about that, because we saw that video as well where the guy was trying to open his door when he came from the dentist. I think there's just so much that isn't working yet, and to think that they're just implementing it everywhere, I think we're not ready for that yet. I think the technology needs to be further developed before we can actually do that, because I think there's a lot of flaws and a lot of issues with it.
Sure.
Yeah,
and it would also be nice to see some advancements made by other than commercial enterprises, right? Because now they're just driven by their revenue, and Alexa is trying to sell you, and Google is trying to get your information. There is all this ulterior motive, right? Instead of trying to make the best possible assistance with how we would like to see society evolve, and I think that's also the problem in 10 years.
How do you feel about this trade-off of companion that is there, knows you perfectly, can actually help you as an assistant, do things for you, and then in the meantime you can do other things, but then the price for that is to learn a whole lot more about you and have that information, and who knows what to do with that information.
I don't know, the application for regular living, or like making coffee or waking up, or I don't really see I feel like I don't need help there, let's say it like that. But if it would be I don't know, warning if something's happening, or for example, I have a friend, her child has a very bad allergy for peanuts, for example, or if there would be some, I don't know, assistance, or if it would go beyond the domestic area, then for me it would feel much more useful than just all these regular things that we want to go quicker and quicker, but doesn't really get us anywhere. Transportation has gotten faster and faster, but still we're not getting anywhere any faster anyway. So I
want you to think of then other uses. If these are not good uses for you. Can you think of moments that, a voice assistant could help you or somebody around you or a friend?
You know what would be really cool? Not really in response to your question, but I was just thinking about quality, like making coffee with I don't know the English terms for it. The espresso.
Yeah.
And
the brewer,
your specifically hand-grown beans and like the entire experience of that and the smell and the at some point when everything's like automized, that kind of quality, or it all becomes like some sort of uniform thing. Also, like for example, in speech also, it's all English, it's not in a dialect, everything is becoming like more of the same somehow. And I was just thinking that next to like assisting, it would also be nice if the assistant could also help you advance in a way. Like it's I don't know, it's a really silly example or thought, but maybe sorry for talking about coffee all the time.
This topic, right?
It could say, would you want me to start your espresso machine, or shall we make like another type of coffee today? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it could be like provocative in a way, or stimulating, or suggesting like new experience or things to do in your life, like instead of just doing what you want.
What would be a step too far for you?
What I think is like a dangerous domain is everything with younger people, like children. Like for example, the baby assistant. It's just that if technology would be like getting in the way of some kind of social connection that you would have with your family, for example, like I'm not looking after my baby because Alexa Assistant is looking after my baby.
Which is crazy, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a step too far for me. That's what you're asking, right? Where's the line?
Yeah.
What would be your line to, to not cross and start some movement if you were to go against something like this that was completely against your principles?
I don't think I would start a movement. I'm more like a person come up with solutions instead of addressing problems. Like you can be yelling at the government for doing something, but then do it yourself as well. Like there's an example of like with all the climate protests right now. Like I had a flatmate who would go to like all of them and like had signs and everything, and she was really passionate about it. But when she was at home, she would throw her plastic bottles with the regular waste. And I'm like, I think with these problems, people also have to really look within themselves and be like, okay, what am I doing? What can I change? I think it's more about personal actions rather than waiting for other people to change things. What I'm worrying about is that companies at one point are sure gonna push out this technology, but not think about these issues, and then we don't really have an option but to use it, and then
Why are you not ready for that, either of you?
Well, I meant more like a society, well, like not a society, but like the technology is not ready.
Well, maybe the technology will be ready because it's getting smarter and smarter. But as a society, why are we not ready for that?
Yes, but there is a difference between like the technology becoming smarter and smarter in lab circumstances and in real life, right? And I think as a society, we will only be ready for that technology when it's really good and when it works like 99% of the time. And I think the society being ready part is more has to do with the technology needing to be really good and not just good enough, more than anything else. I don't think it's a cultural shift that we need to make it. I think it's just like the technology needs to be good enough.
Yeah.
Like excellent.
But like even like if it's saying like in 8 years it will be 55%, then in 4 years it should be 27%. So that's almost 30%. So that's like already a third. And in if we look like short term, maybe like in 4 years will be then at a point technologically that we can say like, okay, we can use it for 30% of interactions with machines. And then like on the short term, like in 4 years only, I don't think we will be. I think there's too much that still doesn't work, and there's too many problems that need to be solved first before you can actually say, okay, like a third of all interactions we have with machines are going to be voice driven.
I'm especially curious about like the effects on, just people's lives. Like, it's going to change so much. And in a sense, I feel that that's maybe even more like not being ready, because we don't know how that will affect our behavior, how we interact with, talk with each other, like, and then how that machine comes in our lives and then, sort of changes that. That's maybe what worries me more than if the technology is going to be good enough, because I guess like throughout history, we've invented like, so many things, and all of those things were flawed and like improved, in kind of a process of, making it better.
How do we have to get ready? What voice do we have to raise? Who do we have to go to?
I'm not sure if it's even possible to know how it's going to change us. So in a sense, it's also impossible to already raise concerns because you don't know yet. But I mean, it would be...
But there's always somebody who is expecting, right? For instance, when Amazon was picking up like 20 years ago, everybody on the activist side was worried about, what about our local bookstore? What's going to happen, to the actual retail stores? And so, and nobody cared because it was convenient. It was, cheap. It is still like cheap. So I'm sure there are people now who are talking about, all the not readiness and all the societal consequences.
Maybe you shouldn't
they're not heard enough.
Yeah. But maybe you shouldn't see it as a like having need of activism, but just see it as a need of creating this attitude in general of being careful of consequences. I think people are more receptive to that because it's like less extreme, right? You just ask people to stand still for a few seconds and think.
Yeah, I think there's like a really, really large part of society that is even unaware of like the harmful effects of big companies collecting data. So there lies like a huge step towards like a sort of consciousness about the impact of technology, and especially when it gets so close. I mean, mobile phones are already very close, but then something in your home which is always present. The danger is that people are just gonna accept like the help and then don't question whatever impacts on like social behavior or I don't know, whatever else that it could
What do you
cause.
think we can do about it, like in terms of like slowly raising awareness and telling people who don't, people who know it and ignore it are different, but people who don't know about it, how can we help that?
That's our discussion again, isn't it? We had a whole discussion in like the first block about this.
Yeah. And like my stance on it was always like we just need regulation, not awareness.
That's interesting.
Like just protect people, because you'll never be able to ask every individual to protect themselves. So I think government should just create these regulations now and
my solution was more like start educating children in elementary school already, like start very, very young, because they're already using technology very, very young. So I think it should kind of be paralleled with them using the technology and them being educated on the technology.
So teach value-sensitive design to children already.
Indeed. I mean, they get told about like societal issues, right? At least in the Netherlands, we get told about societal issues. I don't know how it's in other places, but it could be in that class. Like, you only need to. We had like one lecture on it. Like, of course, the topic is much broader, but in one lecture already, I had a big understanding of like the whole concept or like what it's supposed to do. So I think it doesn't even require that children have a whole extra course they have to do and I mean, it's just like getting a basic understanding, like, hey, if you use this, then this can happen. Like, are you aware that if you're on Facebook, you might get addicted because it tailors all the content to you?
Okay, so let's wrap up with my first question. After all of the days, harms and benefits that we did with voice assistants, once more, try to think of a word that would describe your feeling about that. It can be the same word, you don't have to pick it.
I don't know, I guess I'm still in the back seat, seeing where it's gonna go. Maybe it's even curiosity. I'm just curious where it's gonna go, because I also really see the potential